Good evening. Welcome to PoliticIt podcast. We're here with Susan Lee, and you're a candidate for the Davis County Republican Chair.
Yes, I am. I threw my hat in and I'm excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me to be here today.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up? Where have you lived? And
Yeah. So I have lived in Davis County for over 55 years and Kaysville for all of it. And that's where, because I love it so much, that's where my husband and I decided to raise our family. And what's interesting is all my kids have decided to stay here, and my kids and then my grandkids. So all of us live here in Davis County. Our roots are deep, and it's what drives me to be involved and to stay involved.
that's interesting. So, have you been involved in Republican politics then?
I have. As far as Republican politics, I've always been involved in the caucus system. I've been a state, I've been a county delegate, both, and currently I'm a precinct chair. And as it's not Republican, but I did serve on the Kaysville City Council for 4 years,
Oh, very good.
and so I have been involved. It's always when you start to get involved, when it gets turned on, it's because of an issue. And I was just living my life, raising my four sons, just complacent in a lot of things when something arose that just woke me up. And that's usually what it takes. It takes something to wake you up, and then you realize how important it is to be involved.
Very good. That is true, isn't it? That you find there's some issue that motivates you to run. So, Davis County Chair, what what are you trying to do there?
Sure. So the biggest thing that has really pushed me into it is being the precinct chair and getting more involved in that level. I realized there wasn't really a lot given to me on how to conduct like the caucus night meeting, just how to actually do my job and do it right and do it correctly. I went and I looked on the Davis County website for information, and there wasn't anything. There was the bylaws and things like that just said, you will do this, but it wasn't particular what to do on caucus night. And so I started doing Google searches, and pretty soon I started finding other city or other counties that listed actual videos on what to do on caucus night if you're a precinct chair. And I thought, how neat this would be if we would do this on the Davis County website, if we could give more of the ins and outs of having a very productive and successful caucus night as a precinct chair. And so I started paying more attention as time went on, and I started realizing every time I'd go to the website when I'd hear something coming up, a lot of times it wasn't on the website, and it was getting frustrating. And I would call and I would ask people that were really involved, do you know about this? And a lot of people wouldn't. And as things started going on, I started realizing there was a communication breakdown between the delegates and the leadership. And a good example of that is as I'm running as the precinct chair, as the chair for the GOP, I am finding out as I call the delegates, we're less than a month away from the county convention where we're going to do this election. Nobody knows about this. Nobody has heard about it, very few. And that is a huge problem. And so what motivates me and what drives me to do this is I'm an organizer, and I want to help put this back together where there is so much communication and education that anybody can go to the website and find what they need and know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that's really, the role of the chair surrounds a lot of that stuff, but training those precinct chairs is really important because it's the precinct chairs hopefully that are going to get people to come out.
Yes.
right? And at least communicate it to everybody so they know that it is going on,
Yes.
you know?
And I also, it kind of goes in line with just our grassroots. There are a big portion of Davis County that are Republican, and most Republicans don't even know what the caucus system is. I would say probably 20% actually know what a caucus system is. And so what I would want to focus on, along with the other things that I'm going to do, is educate. I think it's crucial that we start educating our grassroots to become involved in the caucus system, which will strengthen it. And with that, it will just escalate into a lot more positive things happening within the party, getting candidates that I think would be fantastic to represent, that would stand up for our Constitution and our bylaws, and be really in line with what the Republican Party is all about. We're finding out more and more just how important it is to get the right people in that represent our values, especially in this day and age where so much is being, so much attacks on the family and on our freedoms is happening. And so we have to really work hard and make sure we get the right people in that will push back against this, so that we can, with our grandchildren, we can hand to them the same things we had when we were growing up.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I know I'm a big fan of the caucus convention system. I'm especially a fan of our platform as a party. It's very well done, and a lot of people don't realize that a lot of those principles came from the Reagan administration. We were a blue state until Ronald Reagan, and actually it was the Roe v. Wade decision that sent us in a different direction as a state. But I think that Reagan was a great communicator, as you say, that you need to do, and I think that motivated the people to write the platform that we have, and would be nice to get back to a lot of those principles, right?
Yes. And I think it's so important too, as we educate and we branch out to really build a strong base, that we also reach out to the young Republicans. We've got the teenage Republicans, the TARs, we've got the college Republicans, and we need to utilize getting resources to them so that they can be educated. They're excited, they want to help, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to reach out to them as far as getting them involved and letting them help, because it's exciting to them and they've got a lot of energy, and why not use it?
Yeah, and you talk about higher ed and some of the things that are going on there that are taking our kids away from their conservative values. I think in some respect we need to work really hard to try to pull our kids in when they're young, right?
That's right.
To understand the ideals that we were, that character traits that we've had for a long time. Very good. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're talking to Susan Lee, candidate for Davis County Chair, and we'll be right back.
I'm Susan Lee. I'm running for Davis County Republican Party Chair. I love Utah. I especially love Davis County. That's why Kevin and I chose to raise our family here. I'm running for chair to keep our county party strong in the face of change. As chair, here are my main priorities: great candidates, great campaigns, great grassroots, and great funding. As Republicans, things have mostly gone our way in Davis County. We have to work hard to make sure it stays that way. This year, Utah's House of Representatives got younger and more conservative, and that's good. We need to make sure our county party keeps up. Fundraising is critical. Small dollar donors are key, as are the local businesses that support our values. I say the SB 54 experiment has failed. It's time for party nominations to return to the party. As chair, I will fight that fight to bring power back to the neighborhood level, to our caucuses and conventions. I'm Susan Lee. I'm asking for your vote for Davis County GOP Chair. Thank you.
Welcome back. We've got Susan Lee here, and we've been talking about Davis County politics. It's interesting. Davis County actually has the leadership in both the House and the Senate. You know, you look at Stuart Adams and Jerry Stevenson in the House, Brad Wilson, all Davis County people, right? And I think you've got a lot of good representation there. And so what's your plan to kind of, I know there's been some, infighting a little bit. What's your plan to bring people together in the party?
Sure. I'm glad you brought this up. It's something that's close to me. And I looked out, and the hardest thing for me to see was when I saw Republicans putting Republican for Biden signs out. And the reason why that was so hard is because I thought, there's a breakdown somewhere. There's, somehow we're not getting the message out why it's so important that we support and back our Republican nominees. And so running for the chair, one of the things I will do is I will try to bring us together. And part of that, I think part of the division has been caused through SB 54. And SB 54, which allows you to collect signatures to get on any party's ballot. So you can be a Democrat and collect signatures and get on the Republican Party ballot. And if you've got lots of money and people are not properly informed, that Democrat could end up potentially winning. And so what's so important is that we start strengthening the party over signature gathering.
Right.
And there's a lot of ways that we can do that, but one of the things that I want to focus on is fundraising. One of the hardest things to do is when you get a really good candidate and you want to get them in there, the money.
Right.
It is hard to get the money. So as a party, and this is going back to the grassroots and educating the grassroots, we want to utilize all the Republicans out there and give them an opportunity to not just donate when they come to caucus night and fill the can, but to do it all year round. Give them opportunities, the Lincoln Day Club. Yeah. A lot of people don't even know it exists, but that's the fundraising arm of our party. And it's important that we start utilizing these things.
Yeah, the last Lincoln Day dinner you guys had, I thought was a pretty good one. And that is an opportunity to unite and get all the candidates behind you too.
Yeah.
Right.
And
there has to be a value to them.
Yeah.
To be in the party, right?
Yeah, and another thing that's important is if you're going to get these good candidates to run and you want them to win, you've got to give them the tools. A lot of times there's somebody, they've never ran before, they finally become a candidate, then what?
Yeah.
Then what? They need to know, signs. They need to know, other than fundraising, how do I go out and talk to the people, and how can I get help as far as texting and emailing and all of these things. So what I plan to do is I want to have a toolkit, so to speak, put together, and when we get our candidates that the delegates want, we hand them this toolkit and we say, we've got this funding for you. Let's go.
Yeah. And that's really the job. I mean, when someone's running for office, if the party helps them a lot, they feel like they're more part of it, right?
Yeah.
Rather than just running out there on their own.
Yeah.
And, the lucky thing is you've got a lot of people in Davis County with a lot of knowledge tied up, right?
Yes.
I mean, I just think of you've got people, that I'm familiar with in the Senate. I mean, Todd Weiler and and Jerry Stevenson.
Brad Wilson.
Yeah. Well, and I just from the Senate, Stuart Adams.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had, the ones that I know there are very effective, and they know how to run a campaign, and they know, they've had many, many years of experience, and how do you get all of them back to feeling like they need the party, right?
Yes.
And
well, and I think that's why it's so important that if we're going to present a delegate-backed candidate for the ballot, and then they've got the signature gatherer candidates on the ballot, as the one that we back, we need to give them all the support and all the help they need so that they can win and become viable as a candidate. Because a lot of the breakdown happens once they get there as the money.
right.
To be quite honest, those that have been in and running for a long time, they have a lot more money.
Right.
And so I don't know if it becomes a complacency so they don't feel like they have to listen, but I would like to make it so that
well, they need to see some value to continue.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And to continue to foster good candidates to come in.
Yes.
And
yes, and also talk and work with them, and
right.
We need to listen. We have to listen. What would make it better, and then we need to start working on that.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes just like you said before. Communication is important, right?
Yes.
Talking to them, doing big things. I mean, I was talking to Jake Sawyer, who's our Weber County chair, who's done a fabulous job. And, I told him in Jackson, I said, yeah, you need to do something big. So what do? They go get Ben Carson to come and speak, right? And I thought that was really interesting because they brought a lot of people out to that meeting that don't come to a lot of things, right?
Right.
And that's the kind of things that we need to do. I mean, you have a lot of the leadership in Davis County. You need to get them engaged and get them helping, right? Which they'll do.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that all ties into not only bringing people out, but them getting excited.
Yeah.
The more that they're involved, the more they get excited, the more they want to help. And we have an army that we're not utilizing. We have so many Republicans.
Right.
All we have to do, and that ties into why we need to educate them. Let's say you register to vote as a Republican. Right now, you go online, you can register to vote. Maybe you have to go in, show your ID. But once you've registered to vote, it's like, now what? Nothing happens. So
well, and see, that's why it's so important for the party to back their candidates.
Yes.
Right? And get people excited. Someone needs to help motivate the masses, right?
Yes.
Because the candidates, quite frankly, don't have the time to do it, but the leadership of the party knows them a lot better many times, right?
That's right. And let's say you do register to vote as a Republican, and then you get in the mail a little postcard, welcome to the Republican Party, go to our website and learn how you can help.
Right.
Just something so simple, I think, would make a huge difference and start the education so they want to be involved and they know what to do.
Yeah.
So they know what a caucus system is, or they know that they can
well, and if you had a lot of the Republicans out there and you say, hey, this is our canvassing night.
Yes.
And so they come and show up, the candidates show up,
Yep.
right? And they hand out their little door hangers and you get people to go help them.
That's right.
Right? Go in your own neighborhood.
Yep.
And if all the precinct chairs were well organized that way, if you only had the precinct chairs, you would have somebody that would contact people in the neighborhood to at least put up a sign.
And it's so much easier to do it that way because those are their neighbors. They're their friends.
Right.
And so they can reach out to them and they're more willing to help when it's somebody
right.
to do it. So I think...
And uniting the party behind those candidates, right, I think is a really important thing.
I do too. I do too. But it's got to start somewhere, and if I'm elected, that's what I'm going to start doing.
Okay, so do something for me.
Okay.
Look in that camera right there,
Okay.
and tell the delegates in Davis County why they need to put you in there.
Sure. So I've been in Davis County for over 55 years, and that means that my roots run deep. And as a candidate, I want to work with the grassroots. And the grassroots is what actually drives the party. It's what makes us be able to be stronger and be able to get more done and to actually get the best candidates. And the most important thing, fundraise and then win. I want our candidates to win, and I want to win big. And so if I'm elected as Davis County GOP Chair, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to win.
That's perfect. That's excellent. So, Susan Lee, congratulations on your race. I hope things go well for you. And you know, it's nice that you come out and tell your message, and I really appreciate having you tonight.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate your time, and I hope that what I've said today will hit with a lot of people that they'll want to vote for me. So thank you.
So Davis County delegates, go to the convention and vote. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week.